Welcome to the Brew, everybody. Y'all know me. I'm Tori Townley. I hope everyone's doing well. Got my Mary Poppins mug. That's my classic one. Today we are talking about Christmas outreach, specifically Giving Hope Shopping Mall 2020 edition, which is a little different. And I'm so excited. I have a very special guest. His name is Chad Sleeper. He's the Central Outreach Pastor at Church of the Highlands. So, hi, Chad. How are
Come
you?
on. Hey, Tori, how are you doing?
I'm good. I am so proud of you for coming prepared with your coffee.
Come on. Everybody needs some everybody needs a cup of Joe. You know what I mean?
What is your coffee of choice? What you got?
Okay. Listen, I learned this over time. I'm not a frou coffee drinker, but I go straight in for a straight, just no cream, no sugar. It's called a red eye. So what they do, the coffee connoisseurs out there, they probably know. I'm not the biggest connoisseur. I just know that I know what I like, and it's just straight coffee with a shot of espresso. It's strong now. It's one shot of espresso, so they call it a red eye.
All right. That
Yeah,
is no joke. No
yeah.
joke. No.
How about you? What are you drinking?
Man, okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I just downed it. It's gone. It's empty.
It's
See,
good.
I'm
It's
I'm
so good.
drinking it all day, but I did community coffee. I've been like as I get older, I get a little more jittery, so I gotta
Right,
slow down. Like 4 o'clock, I can't.
right,
I'm done. I'll
right.
sleep. So a little community coffee, a little almond milk creamer, and I'm good to go. Oh, I've been
You're
putting
good.
peppermint extract in it. So
Okay.
not too much, I'll get tipsy, but just a little.
Right,
Give it a
right, right.
little flavor.
Love it. Love
Oh
it.
man, the red eye. That is so great. All right. So would love to hop in, but first, you oversee or help oversee Central Outreach at Church of the Highlands, which is a big job. You're on Pastor Dina's team. You have hit the ground running in the middle of 2020. So big hats off to you. So like impressed and just like wowed by the work that you do. Will you kind of share an overview of what that looks like, what your role is like, and just kind of who you are, I guess?
Yeah, would
Okay.
love to. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be able to speak into this, and yeah, on the central team here at Church of the Highlands, overseeing local outreach. We have a lot of different people on the team, and so I'm just one of the pieces that get to be involved. We have missions and international, and then we have disaster response, and so I'm more around the local outreach expressions from our all of our local campuses. So that's 23 campuses I get to speak into and help and serve and help just carry the vision out of what Pastor Dino has in his heart, PC, all the team, and help us just come uh, love people, through different expressions all year long. And right now we're in that season of giving hope. And I've been married 12 years and I have 4 boys. And so that keeps us overtime busy. And so my boys are 10, 8, 6, and 3. And so we are fast and furious coming up on Christmas time. I've got my 10-year-old, his birthday. Never believed that we'd have a boy that is around Christmas, the day after Christmas. So he'll turn 11 right after that. So we're having a great time, excited for this season, with all the outreaches. And a lot of people who are hurting are going to get helped and touched in this season. And so it's incredible. It's an honor. So
Oh man, you have a full plate to say
love
the
it.
least. 23 campuses and 4 boys and a
Love,
wife. That is a lot of life.
love it.
But it's so much fun and you do it so well, and I'm just like, man, it's just really cool to have your voice in our Servolution community today. I know we get lots of questions on like, how does Highlands do outreach, how does Highlands do this and that, so to have your voice today, a lot of people are going to be really excited just to hear the nuts and bolts. And I will comment on, I think it's such a beautiful thing, just like it's almost like an ecosystem, how it works, how local outreach fits into Highlands, not fits into, but just it's so ingrained in every piece. So whether it's small groups or like 23 different campuses in different communities, you do such a great job of letting those campuses have their own expression, but also there's not coherence, consistency across the board. Like You know,
Right.
that's who we are. We have the
Right.
same culture and DNA, but we have a unique expression. So to be able to have that kind of ebb and flow, that
Yeah.
checkpoint, that it's just you do such a great job shepherding that. So well done.
Awesome.
Uh
Well,
I
we love it. And here's what I know from just being on the team, and then prior to this, just living life. It's normal to hurt, but it is possible to hope. And that's what that season that we're in, with seeing the different outreaches in 2020 evolve and come to fruition through different expressions and the different demographic cities that we're in all across the state and over in Columbus, Georgia. It's been what the best year I've seen through outreach. I mean, it's four times quadrupled the outreaches in one year, and we had to, just the season that we're in. And so seeing that from the boots in the field, the leaders on the ground out there, they have a heart to serve, and that's our culture.
wow.
So
Yeah, I'm with you on it's been a beautiful year for outreach. It's really hard, but man, the hope, like you
yeah,
said, I was sitting a second ago looking at like just reviewing some things, like what have been some of the best moments that we've had. And I'm just blown away. Like I've never sat at the end of the year and seen as many beautiful moments as I've seen and
yeah,
lives change. So wow.
yeah,
Um, I love it. Okay. So I don't want to take too much time on the weeds of your job, but if you could like give people just a snapshot of like the responsibilities that you have so they kind of know the context of like, oh, that's like how things flow for you. That's the structure of your role. That would be great. Can we do that?
yeah. Absolutely. Just really essentially help guide and carry the vision that's set out there for outreach. And that comes through a lot of different initiatives and focuses through all of our teams. And so one of the biggest pieces of my role is just keeping communication open amongst all the campuses, because it's easy to just kind of get in our world and just go, go, go. But when we're able to kind of reconnect and just we learn best practices, we learn what doesn't work. And so along those lines, I just try to help stay in touch with everybody and just try to help spread best practices across the board, from serve day to all the way to giving hope, mothers, that all the different big outreaches that we do. And so that's a big piece of the time that we get to participate in. Develop procedures for that, learn along the way. The best teacher is trial by fire, and we're in outreach, it's the wild wild west, and so we get out there and just do it, and so we learn what works. And so that's a big piece of what we get to do.
That is so cool. It's like you're running your own Servolution network you got the communication, we got to swap ideas, build a
Yes.
community. It's all about better together. So that
Yeah.
is really cool. I love it. That's why we're kindred spirits because we got
I
the
love
same flow.
it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we know a bit about you now. I would love to jump into this Giving Hope Christmas shopping mall concept. A lot of our community has been very well acquainted with this outreach over the years. I know on servolution.org, we have like all of the how-to resources from Highlands available. I'll link to that in the notes too. Um, and several of our churches in our community are actually doing that expression this year, have in years past. But for those who maybe don't know, new to the idea, could
Yeah.
you just give an overview of what it's all about, how it got started, and like
Yeah.
why? Like, what's the
Yeah.
why behind it?
I love it. And I think you start with the why. And I think the why is we want to bring hope to a hurting world. And one of the ways we can do that is these kids and these families are not just getting gifts this Christmas, but they're getting hope. And so that's why we created that. Not only we could get out there and exchange toys and give a lot of toys away, but we couple it with pastoral care and an experience and a day of just loving on families as they come and get out of the chaotic world that we live in and step into an environment that has been bathed in prayer, that has the right atmosphere and atmosphere is a big thing, and so we put a lot of effort into that. And so you'll hear more about that later, but just the whole atmosphere that people step into, they are blown away that we would take the time and the effort and invest that into an experience for them. And so these families come in, they don't only walk away with toys, but they walk away with hope and ministry, and the gospel is presented. And so it's a gift in Jesus' name. We like to say it that way. And so the overall, yeah, families are identified in different communities that are maybe in need or struggling this year for whatever reason, maybe laid off a job, or they've been identified, they've been connected with and vetted from our local campuses. And so then they get a personal invite to come to the experience. And as they do, they check in, and they about a 5 to 7 minute overview of what's going to take place today. So glad you're here. We throw hot chocolate at them and all kinds of goodies and refreshments in the very early morning and all throughout the day. And so we plan shifts for them to roll through so that we can take care of them as they go. We don't want to rush it. We just take time with them, and we minister to them along the way. And so as they come in, they check in. We partner them with a shopping buddy, a connector that is able to not only walk them through the experience, but build a relationship over the 25, 30 minutes that they're in there with us. And then they get to pray at the end of it. So not only they come, they get the gospel in the very beginning, 5, 7 minute presentation, get some time to pray on the side. And then they step into their experience shopping for their kids, get tons of toys, big, medium, small gifts. They load up. That goes to our wrapping team. We have a huge gift wrapping team, and they're just having a lot of fun getting all those toys wrapped. And then we hand that off to them, and they get to load it in their car, and they leave. The cool thing about this experience, this outreach, is that they get to leave as the heroes. So the children never know it came from the church. It came from their parents. So Christmas is under the tree for these parents because of the generosity of the local church and the leadership and the generosity, the radical generosity of our church and our leaders. And so it's an incredible experience. It's life changer. I mean, every Giving Hope that I get to be a part of, this will be my 5th year being a part of it. And it's just every year there's just another story that you can add of just the faithfulness of God and the kindness and the radical generosity. It's the goodness of God that brings men to repentance. And that's what we see through this in so many ways. And so it's one of my favorite things we get to do.
Oh my gosh. I am like envisioning it because I've been there so many times. And like as you're talking, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about, oh, it's so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just, I love that you touched on the parents get to be the heroes. That I remember when we created this idea or when we pulled this idea out, that was one of the biggest things is the dignity of the parents. And you talked to a few other dream centers who do it, and it was like, we want to switch this outreach from an angel tree thing where we drop off the gifts, and we want it to be like, don't even know. But then
Yeah.
also the layers of thoughtfulness and the layers of personal touch. I love that this outreach can be scaled down, like as simple, it
Yes.
can be stripped back as much as you want, but as you grow, you can just add so many layers of thoughtfulness. Oh, we're going to do the gift wrapping station. We're going to do the
Yeah.
gift loading team. Like, and it brings so many lives together. Like every direction, hope is happening. Love is like being encountered. Volunteers' lives get changed. Like
Yes.
everywhere you look, these little moments are happening. And the cool thing is, like you said, it's all about atmosphere. Like
Yeah.
people show up. I'm ready to love. I'm ready to give. We got music playing. We got smiles. We got signs. But it's like, when people show up with that heart and that anticipation, God's presence is there and moments are going to happen. And I've been in those group texts, all
Yes.
the campus pastors throwing in their group texts all day. And it's like, how many more sob stories can
I
I handle? I just
It is
can't.
amazing.
It's
It,
insane.
it's
Life
overwhelming.
is I can't
It's
wait to
overwhelming.
this year. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
It is overwhelming indeed. It's crazy. Okay. So, um I know there is some science behind like how do you schedule out the shifts and how do you vet the parents and how do you do all this. And I will say I have some serve brews that I'll link to in the past that we did that kind of highlighted some of those nuts and bolts. We may get into that a little today, but I really wanted to take some time and focus on how did you guys as a whole pivot plans in light of COVID? I know some things are opened up, some things are shutting down. What things are variables, what things are non-negotiables of this experience, and how have y'all pivoted?
Yeah, great question. And, you know, 2020 has presented so many different challenges. And one thing that I knew starting off the bat was I'm going to have to get more brain power in the room to figure out how we're going to deal with this 2020 year and be able to still pull off this event because this is one of the biggest ones. There's so much, you know, hugs and love and high fives and so much jolly and all that. But a lot of people are at different stages of the game right now in 2020 of comfortability and all those things of being able to come and be in person. And, you know, really across the board, our campuses are down in attendance. So that helped us know, hey, we're going to have to change some other things as far as pivoting with our gifts. And a lot of times, or most of the time, our, our members supply all the gifts. I mean, we might have to go out and get a few here or there last minute inventory checks and things to make sure we have plenty for the last family that come through, just like the first, so that the last family coming through is not just getting leftovers, but they get the incredible experience just like the first. But as a majority, as a whole, for so many years now, our members have been so generous, and they still are this year. This year has been different, and so we knew we had to pivot. So what we did, our team came together, and we created an online sponsorship opportunity to still be a part of this through Amazon. And we uploaded, you know, gifts on the registry, almost like a wedding registry. You can go down the list and say, hey, this is what I want to buy for them, and this is what I want to buy for them, age and gender specific. And so that took a lot of work, but it was well worth it because more people were able to be involved than just that were in the room hearing the announcement. And so people got that information. Here's a great story. Is one of our campuses in Gadsden had a lady that was on a Zoom small group. Okay, she's talking about giving hope. It's coming up this year. She's got to buy her gifts. She was bragging on how easy it was. It took her 5 minutes to tap what gift she wants. She didn't have to go into a store this year. She was able to send it directly to the campus. 5 minutes, she was done. And people that were a part of her small group that didn't even go to our church, that were out of state, were able to jump in on this Giving Hope experience and be a part of the radical generosity. And so that pivot point made it possible for us to go out beyond what we ever thought or dreamed or imagined, and for people to be involved and be a part of this. And so we pivoted there. We got online, digital. Used to, we would hand out packets and trash bags and go buy at the shop, at the store, come back, bring your bags back. But that Amazon opportunity was able to ship directly to the campus, and it created a touchless environment. So that was great. We had a QR code on a card. If they wanted more information after the service, we gave that in our Highlands News update, like during the service in the beginning. Hey, this is how you can be a part this year. Amazon, go out to the serve booth, get you a card. It's a QR code, register, and that's how you can be a part. And so that's one big pivot point that was huge. Another thing, we just said, you know what, we just got to be prepared to have more budget this year to bridge the gap for gift inventory in case, just because attendance was lower this year. We also created a drive-through experience. That drive-through experience is the first of its kind this year. Typically, they come in, walk through, and that's majority of our campuses are doing that. But our downtown Birmingham location, they're doing a drive-through option. So it's not important for us just to give gifts away. That's not the win. The win is, how can we present the gospel as well? And so that drive-through experience, a lot of labor and information and brain power and meetings and all that went into how do we make that happen, and people be able to still shop for what they want. And so We offered that. And it's going to be an incredible thing downtown Birmingham. They'll pull into a waiting lot. If you get in the lot, we're going to serve 500 families, 1,500 kids at that one location. And so through that, we'll be able to process those cars. It takes about 20, 30 minutes to get them through, tops 40 minutes to get them through, but they get the gospel right there in their car. They get to pick preloaded information on tablets, pick what gender, age, what kind of gifts they want. And then our team is ready, prepackaged stuff for them. And then we partner with our police department in the city of Birmingham, and they're bringing the gifts to the car. So our team is going to be behind the scenes, and we're going to make the policemen and first responders the heroes down there in downtown Birmingham, which is a great partnership that we're able to do this year. So budget, Amazon online, drive-through experience. You know, some people aren't comfortable coming in to a place right now. About 60% of our members aren't coming to campus, you know, and so we needed to create how can this still be a win for people that don't want to interact in that way. And so how can we serve you? And so that's what we learned today. Pastor Chris, Pastor Dino, sharing just about, you know, when hospitality is present, it's when people know that you're not just there for you, but you're there for them. And we've customized a way for hospitality to be in the lives of so many people who are not comfortable coming through the doors yet. And so that's been big. That's been a lot of work, but it's going to pay off in a lot of ways. And so, yeah.
Man. Okay, wow. I love it. I think you have some really great tips. So I love the online sponsorship idea. One question I did have is like, are you guys accepting gifts in person at all, or is it
Yes.
only online? Okay,
No,
so
we do both, but our big push this year was the online. And so if somebody couldn't navigate the online, we still had the other option as backup. But yeah, so this year the teams were prepared to receive gifts all week long from shipping departments, from UPS and FedEx, but also from people coming in on Sundays dropping off the gifts. And it's that's been a backup, so it's been good.
cool. That's great. That was a question that popped in my head because I know you're gonna have those few people like I am not technically savvy, but I really just want to help. So that's cool.
Yes, yes,
QR code is genius. Okay, you mentioned the adapting the budget, which is great.
yeah.
What would you recommend for like churches who are on a budget already and they
Mm-hmm.
really do depend on those donations and they may not have an option to expand that? Would you say you scale back on the invitations or hopefully you don't have to? What would you tell
Right.
people about that?
Right. One of the things that I would mention is, you know, just get creative with decor. Like maybe you could use what you used last year, or be real frugal with the decor. That's what we pushed out a decor package this year so that everybody had a baseline what to start with. So they didn't have to add to it. We took care of that. But if you're a local church, you don't have a central team, you don't have a central budget to add to that local budget. Um, you you can get creative with your environment, and really that we've spent on decor before in different ways. This year we've scaled back in some of that. You can also I would say the gift inventory, you don't want the last person walking through there with leftovers. So the big portion of the budget, I would say, set aside for the gifts. And then try to connect with managers at different department stores, and just get real creative during this time. And we've seen that. Hey, we walked into I got a story the other day from our Alabaster campus. They walked into Target prepared to spend a certain amount, and the manager actually goes to their campus and was able to discount everything. And so you just never know, just having those conversations, being creative. So I would just say, if you have a limited budget, I think number one, you got to get the gifts taken care of. And that's the big piece, you know.
That's
So
good. Make that the priority. I love that. And
yeah.
people want to be part of something like this, so not being afraid to ask is huge. It's not a shame to ask because, like, it's a gift to them to be part of it, so that's really cool. Okay, and then I have one more question. The
Yes.
drive-through experience sounds amazing. Could you go in a little more detail on just, like, exactly like, I am a new parent, I'm showing up and I'm parking. What exactly am I seeing through all of this, as well as what opportunities are there for volunteers since it is scaled back? Yeah, so, like, walk me to if I'm a volunteer and if I'm a parent, what does it look like?
Yeah, when you get on site, obviously we have several different teams available to be able to make that happen, from parking teams to waiting lot teams that are. We've built an itinerary for that waiting lot. So if everybody's coming at the same time, and they're filled in that lot, they're going to have some time to wait. So we built an itinerary to connect, to entertain, to be able to pass that time. We've thought of options of like a Christmas movie. If you have the ability to set up an outdoor screen, um, maybe that's you could do that. We've got teams of like not elves walking around during the Christmas time, but like people who are serving at every car, and they're connecting with them. If they're going to be there around 11 o'clock, we might serve them brunch. You know what I mean? Like a safe brunch or a fun happy that we are able to pre-wrap and give to every car. Thank you for waiting and all those things. So there's an itinerary. Music's out there in the parking lot. Just atmosphere, atmosphere, atmosphere. Then they transition into the line, they get queued up. And again, it's like Pastor Dino shared. We're not just trying to hustle people through. We're going to take our time. We're going to walk slow. So you want the right people parking the cars for safety, but you want the right people, pastoral care, loving on families as they come through the event. And so that we don't miss opportunities when these cars are passing through. So we're not just trying to throw gifts in there and get them out and get 500 families processed. We're there to love on families and, hey, let me pray for you. Or, hey, let me slip you an extra gift card that I just felt led to slip you. I know Giving Hope is here and you're getting gifts, but here's an extra gift card to Target. Be blessed in Jesus' name, because we love you. And we know this season's been difficult. And so we're praying for families. As they come through. So there's a prayer team, there's a wrapping team. Again, we partner with the police department that's bringing those gifts. There's a behind the scenes team with hospitality, making sure our volunteers are taken care of. Our dream team is taken care of. They're staying hydrated. And we got a team that if cars die in the parking lot, if their battery dies in the parking lot, or if a tire goes flat, or a baby needs some food, or some extra bottle of water, we got golf carts ready to serve, and jump cars off, and facilities teams there. So our teams feel like we've thought of everything. We've been put in a place of where we served during this COVID testing season early on this year through that outreach, that we're able to learn some of those things to make sure people in a parking lot for over an hour, be prepared with our facilities team, making sure they're in a hot car. Maybe they don't have an extra, get some gas, get an extra 5 gallon gas can. You know what I mean? So that nothing gets held up and they feel everything's thought about, and they were thought about. And so, yeah, lots of different teams to be able to be involved.
It's like Disney World, I
That's
swear.
right, 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 right. We want that expectation. We want to exceed expectations. We want to just radical generosity in every, like you said, every step of the way. We
Mhm.
want them to have hope. We want them to see love and generosity and just somebody who cares, you know?
Oh, man.
So
Yes.
just the extra water, or
Yeah.
like I said earlier, oh, I just ran out of gas. I'm embarrassed. I can't get out of line. We got a team ready to, like, in 5 seconds, we'll be there. 30 seconds. Let's get radios. Make sure you got radios to radio your people, to make sure everybody's communicating, So
You
those
know,
are some big tips for a drive-through experience.
those are brilliant tips. I would have not thought about the cars dying in the parking lot, or I need
Right,
to change baby's diaper, like, oh, that
right.
you think through, and I love that, and I'm sure that the people who thought of those ideas have been in that place before. Like, it's such you bring personal touch to the experience, that's what it is, and I
Yeah.
love the take your time concept, like that's something we talk about in Servolution a lot, is just go slow through the crowd, head on swivel. Pastor Dina shared like a Christmas pep talk with us, and it was like, just say a lot of yeses, have more
Yes,
to say yes.
I
Like,
love it.
be a yes man. It is just, that's what the generosity of Christmas is all about. And I feel like especially this year, like I've been listening to Oh Holy Night. I don't know why that's my song this year, but
Love it.
the line says, "The thrill of hope, a weary world rejoices." And I'm just like, that
Wow.
is what this year is. The world is so weary, but the thrill of hope is, it's everything.
I
So I
love it.
feel that anticipation, and I feel like this drive-through experience may end up being like a tradition for families now. It's like, Imma miss that. That was
Right.
fun. I wanna do that
Yeah.
again. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so cool.
Another piece to it is, there might be a team out there that's listening to this, that's catching ideas, but the that we've experienced, one of the things that maybe you guys can do this too, is, or maybe you're already thinking about it, is um, tapping into a radio station that tunes into all the cars when you're in a certain lot, where it's Christmas music, but it's also information about what's coming up. Like your next stop is this. It's like you said, Disneyland or Disney World, where they have some pre-recorded things and help you along the way to pass the time. They're sitting in that lot. They're wondering, what am I next? Am I going to be able to get a gift? Is stuff running out? But we're able to get on the radio that they tune into and able to just communicate to them throughout their time. Hey, text in 74,000 or whatever the number is that you guys could use. We use 74,000 text in connect, and maybe somebody could pray with you if you're in need of prayer, or maybe that's how we find out some of these needs is, hey, do you have diapers, my baby, or whatever? Do you have extra bottle of water? And they're texting in. We have somebody manning that to be able to make sure everybody's taken care of. And so golf carts sitting, waiting in the wings, to be able to add service to that parking lot, because it could bring different dynamics. And so that's a big deal. Also in the parking lots, big signs, real big colorful signs that you can use, where if you can walk through the lots and spread that atmosphere that you're planning, that you want to recreate, where you could have been inside experiencing a lot of hugs or high fives or waves or smiles or whatever. Hey, air hugs. They're holding up signs, air hugs for you, or Merry Christmas, or giving all the signage that you can use. I think the better, when you're walking through the cars. So just some other tips.
It is like, that's brilliant. It is, I'm just thinking about, it's like, it's some of the most simple pivots that you're sharing, but they are make or break. It's like the fine tuning things that are going to make a difference. And it maybe most of these things are not like an extravagant budget situation. It's just a
Right.
thoughtful thing that you can do that is going to change that whole experience. And the
It's
availability.
it's what it's what Pastor Dino and PC and the team, that we're all about. They say this all the time, and it's really caught more than taught, but they say it all the time. Sweat the details. Make sure it's all in the details. Those little pieces that go a long way. You know.
So true and so good. I love it. And I feel like availability is another really big component throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Just, I feel like that's something that you seem to have communicated to the whole team, is just like, be aware. You're
Yeah.
empowered to be aware. We're going to supply you ahead of time with all we possibly can, but that day you just shine. You love on people and you're empowered to say yes as much as you want. Like,
Yes.
that's what I'm getting from it, and that's the beauty of it. You never know where it's going to go with that kind of heart. So,
Yeah.
I love
Love
it.
it.
Okay. So now you've painted a really great picture of like what the pivots look like and how you guys have been able to still make it such a unique experience, so personalized, and even just like you can still choose your gifts from the car. That is huge. That you guys like were able to sort it out, have it organized, and still be able to like, I can still shop for my kid. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we have that picture, what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges, as well as like maybe some unexpected benefits from it? Like you shared the small group story of
Yeah.
that, like, getting involved. What have been just some unexpected wins from it along the way?
Yeah, well, we've, more resourceful. Number one, through this COVID challenge is a very real dynamic that all of our campuses are dealing with, and so they've tapped into the creative side of their teams, and pulling more people involved. And so one of the benefits that I've seen internally is that people that aren't necessarily on our outreach team, that have a heart to love people and be a part of this event, have gravitated to this event to help us. So like I got the creative team at the table talking through outreach. I've got the registration team at the table talking about outreach, how we're serving them. Um, just different teams across the board that are coming to have a voice in this. So that was really huge. Instead of just your outreach team talking through outreach, I think the more voices and creativity that can come in the room is a big one. Another unexpected benefit, like you said, and we talked about earlier, is the small groups, the reach. It's really the reach outside of our own campus that can be involved, and just the care there that people were able to say, oh, wow, you thought of another way that we could be involved. Like you just took the time to think about, like, we really want to be there, but we can't because we're shut in, or we're locked down, or we're quarantined. But that's my favorite event every year. Here, I can still be involved. And so that's a big upside, being able to go digital and have that opportunity. And so that's been a big help this year, because I
I
think it'll carry over to years from now on. I think that's going to stick with us. The Amazon option, and the digital version. No matter where we go in the future, I think that's going to always last. And it wasn't there before. We had to pivot into that.
It's so cool. And it got elevated whether you wanted it to or not. I love
Yeah,
it. I love the inclusion. And that's one of the things that I keep commenting on is just how it brings everybody together, the experience. And so when you have more voices at the table and more people giving their heart to it, it's like the richness of the whole experience. I just feel like it glorifies God so much. I feel like it just puts such a big smile on his face to see
yeah,
his children working together for someone else. Like it's glory. So that's cool. Okay, what would you share with churches? Any tips? You've shared so much, so I don't know how we would get any more, but I'm a brand new church. Maybe I don't know. There might be some different scenarios. A church who's never done it before, but they're attempting it this year, or they're pivoting. They did a shopping mall experience in the past. But let's just say it's a one location church, probably on a
yeah,
budget.
yeah,
Um, what tips do you have for them this year? Anything additional that you would say? Any encouragement for them?
yes,
We're in the thick of it right now. It's
yeah.
happening.
Yes, I love this quote. I just picked up this past 2 weeks ago or last week through a leadership event. The guy said, expect the unexpected and expect to deal with it. And so, like, in this season, like what Pastor Dino always says, keep your head on a swivel. It's about loving people. And no matter how extravagant you can make the atmosphere, if the love of Jesus is there and your smiles on your face and air high five, whatever you can do, whatever you're comfortable with in that environment, music, prayer saturated in that place, people are going to walk away experiencing the radical generosity. So yeah, it might be one gift or three gifts or eight gifts. I don't know what you can do as a new church, but like whatever the budget is, like stay within your means. But like also that's like good stewardship. God's gonna like allow God to bless it. It's not by might, it's not by power, but it's by his spirit. And so that's where we see a lot of these great stories transition. Like people were just blown away through not just the gifts, but like you took, like, that's the first time anybody's ever prayed with me, and took time to ask me how can I pray for you. So like, don't minimize the power of presence, like your presence with them. A lot of people are hurting, like I said earlier, like it is normal to hurt, but people walk through this experience and they realize it's possible to hope, and that's the win. Like, even if an item isn't exchanged, they felt the love of Jesus. in that environment, you know? And so I love what Pastor Dino shared the last week or 2 weeks ago about just walking slow, be a noticer, leave margins, say a lot of yes in those environments. I think let it all be unto him and just let the Holy Spirit guide. And it's one of my life verses, Proverbs, and it's talking about when when a man plans his ways, God directs his steps. And I think as you guys are planning your outreach and you're giving hope, let God direct that. Plan it, absolutely, get a plan, but just be open to hearing the Holy Spirit's voice to lead you in what direction. It doesn't have to look like Highlands. It doesn't have to look like the big church in your city. It needs to be what Holy Spirit wants it to be for you. And so, and I think God will multiply the efforts, and you'll see stories and stories and stories. We walk away with hundreds of stories of just life change and hope that was deferred in a heart their heart was sick because hope was deferred, but they've come to life because somebody loved on them, and gave them a bag of hot, like parent gift this year is going to be a bag of hot chocolate, and a Christmas card invite to the Christmas services. That's simple, that's cheap, and people can walk away with a personal invite to your Christmas services to hear the gospel, in a bigger way in a local church. So it doesn't have to be extravagant as long as it means something, and so that's where we're at. That's a big tip I would say is just don't get caught up in it has to be lavish and huge. God can little, hey, much little is much when God is in it, and so God knows where you're at, and he knows the city you're in, and he knows your heart and your intention of that outreach, and God will multiply it. Trust God in that.
Oh my gosh, Chad Sleeper. So good. Like mind melting. Like my heart is just so wrapped up in this because I totally vibe with you on presence is everything. You show up, you've mulled over the details like you said, you've done everything you can, but that day you show up and you are in the moment with those people. Like
Yes.
I've been in the event coordinating position, and
Yes.
even with the security thing in my ear and the clipboard, I just was like, you know what? Things are gonna work together. I'm gonna do my best.
Yes.
But I'm gonna look a person in the eyes. I'm gonna listen to their names. I'm gonna give hugs or whatever, air hug.
Love it.
Like that's it. And I've even been in positions before, like leading up to a Christmas outreach where someone wanted to apply for the program, whatever it was. And I remember I had to say no, unfortunately, like for whatever reason. But in that moment, our team had been trained to no matter whatever step in the process, no matter the answer, you're ministering to them all along the way from application through the
Yeah.
end. And we would sit and cry together in the office, just praying and blessing them. And they left, even though they weren't invited that year, they left feeling hope and thankfulness. And it was like, oh, it was never about the what, it was
Right.
all about glorifying Jesus and loving them. So even if you
Yeah.
have to say no, like I think about the verse in the Bible where the disciples, I don't remember where it is, but it was like there's a beggar, he was asking for money, and they're like, we don't have
Yeah.
gold, we're gonna pray for you, we're gonna heal you. Okay, that's
Yes.
better. So
Yes.
I love that whole encouragement that you just gave about it is all about presence. I think
Yeah.
it's everything.
I
So
think so. And I just identify with that because I like to now hear me when I say this. I like to break the rules. So like if they walk in, you know what I mean? And like yes, they get the 3 gifts or they get the 5 gifts and but I recognize or I overhear like maybe they don't have like they don't have a Christmas tree. We're going to take the Christmas tree that we decorated in our lobby and we're going to gift it to them. Like, oh, we don't have a 5th Christmas tree in the lobby, but they get their first Christmas tree. Like, let's load it up for them. You know what I mean? I like breaking the rule or add another gift card to them as they walk out the door. Like, give them 2 gift cards. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like just being sensitive enough to hear what God is saying in the moment and being able to minister and allowing the Lord to multiply your efforts. I think it's huge. And I just keep you'll never regret saying yes. you'll never regret giving more away. You know what I mean? Give all the Christmas trees away. I don't care, 30 of them. I didn't matter. Just give them all away. You know what I mean? Like, bless these people that are having such a difficult time. And so it's just, I identify with that in a big way. And so that's why I feel like I have a, like all these people who are tuned in that have a heart and a bent towards outreach is because they love people. The compassion, pushes them to do this. We have to, you know.
Yes.
So
I can't stop. Like, my face hurts from smiling as you talk. I was like, I feel it. I get it.
yeah,
I love, and that was a true story. I remember that story. Y'all giving away
yeah,
those Christmas trees in the
yes,
lobby. We were like shouting you down. That
yeah,
was so
yeah,
cool. I think that that's a really important note, though, is like the whole being in tune with God's voice. It takes intimacy for you to be able to hear. Like, you have to have a strong relationship with Him. You can't be a busy bee all
yeah,
about. You've got to have your own personal time. And then another piece of it is empowering your team. I remember being in a staff meeting with Pastor Chris, and I don't remember how we worded it, but it was just like, I want y'all to know as a staff that if you see a need and maybe there is a policy in place,
yeah,
and it's hindering a person, then I
yeah,
want you to feel empowered to break the rule, and we'll talk about forgiveness later. Like,
yeah,
that's, and so for outreach leaders, like, think about that with these experiences. Like, let your teams know that they are allowed to give the
yeah,
trees away from the lobby or whatever.
yeah,
Lay your boundaries out. Hey,
yeah,
don't cross this line, but otherwise love people, whatever it takes.
yeah.
So
People over policy every time.
every
Game
time.
day decisions, make those game day decisions, and just we'll talk about it afterwards. But like game day decisions, you're not going to be punished for any of that. Like people over policy every time. So if there's a waiting line and you see somebody that is on a walker, that oh, we don't open the doors until 9 o'clock. No, 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 no. We're gonna open the doors at whatever time. If she's in line, we're gonna open the doors and give her a spot. You know what I mean? So like, be ready to break the rules in the right way. And so yeah,
That's it. You got that. You knew exactly what I was talking about. People over policy. That was the same
yeah,
story I was thinking of.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Oh, I love it. All right, Chad. So, coming up on our time, I have a couple closing questions. You have been
yeah.
amazing. This is so inspiring
Thank
for
you for having me. I know we're all over the board with this, but it just kind of we're everywhere because we're loving people. We're talking about all different dynamics, and so it's not boom, 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 but it's out there. Just that's we love people.
my poor listeners know by now. Like, it's not going to be streamlined. It's me just like hopping all over the place. It keeps people on the edge a little, though. All right. So, couple last questions. One, I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I didn't send you this ahead of time. Do you have a favorite story from Giving Hope in the past? Like, just a lives being changed, one that just hits you? I can give you a minute to think. I know
Yeah.
that's left field.
There's so many life changes. Um, you know, let me just can I share one that's like current? Like we're not even there. We're not even like to Giving Hope, but can I just share a story that happened this week?
Please.
It's attached to Giving Hope. Um, so we had a lady in Tuscaloosa that this just highlights generosity in the culture of the church and Pastor Dino and PC, and the margin that they have led with to be able to do things like this. So found a lady in Tuscaloosa from a partner ministry that said, she was having a hard time. She needed to get some Christmas taken care of for her kids. So we added her to our Tuscaloosa campus. Come to find out, she has 3 kids, single mom, all under 10 years old. She's been through the ringer as so many people in this season with COVID. She's walked through COVID. She lost her job due to that in March. All summer long, tried to figure out how to make the bills and make ends meet with being a single mom with the 3 kids. Her parents moved in to help her with bills and things. She contracted COVID. She spread it to her parents, ended up going to the hospital. Okay. Ended up going to the hospital because of COVID, came out of the hospital to no job. Her parents passed away because of it. And now she's by herself with 3 kids. But she's on our Giving Hope list in Tuscaloosa. So we're prepared to walk her through the whole thing. Well, we wanted it like she's been through it. You know what I mean? Like been through it. Like no more parent, like the whole thing. So it was on our team's heart to figure out what she needed extra with her bills, and we've taken care of all of her bills. And she came into the office the other day and was just this past week and was just she pushed back from the table, weeping, just couldn't hospital bills, back pay, rent, power, utility. She came to get online on the Giving Hope process for that for her kids and walked away with life change because of generosity, you know, and the way PC and Pastor Dino lead and our teams here. And she walked away. She called the team 5 times after that same night. She called us 5 times to say thank you. 5 different times. She got to her parking lot and just wept for 10 minutes. Like just so we hadn't even started Giving Hope, and she was a part of it this year. So it's just there's gonna be stories like that. Maybe you can't pay off everything, but there's stories like that wow, you really get in the weeds of the people and find out, well, maybe they need more than a gift this year. Maybe they need some extra touch or some extra love or some extra care. And so just it was amazing to be a part of that and see it.
Gosh, dude, I got so many goosebumps. It's
Uh,
just crazy. It's all about leaning in, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. Just again, being sensitive and being open and being willing to be interrupted, being willing to be inconvenienced. You know, ministry is messy and people are messy and, life is messy. And, so this season is crazy. And so just being prepared to expect the unexpected and expect to deal with it, And so,
That's what
come on,
outreach people do.
come on,
For the unexpected. What are you talking about?
come
Forget
on.
the ordinary.
Love it.
Oh, it's the best way to be. I love it. All right, Chad. 2 more questions. One
Yep.
is, how can people like follow you? I know you might not be I don't know if you're big on social media. Are you?
Yeah, so I got an Instagram, and
Okay.
it's just that, and then they can be a part of that. But
Okay.
I
Just Chad Sleeper.
yep,
Oh, that's easy. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Cool. And if people are listening to this before Saturday,
yeah,
um, Giving Hope is happening December 12th. So follow all the Church of the Highlands campuses. Servolution will be highlighting a lot of you guys, Pastor Dino. So tune into all of that fun stuff. We'll be praying for y'all. And then last question is just, could you recommend something for us? Maybe
yeah,
some fresh book,
yeah,
podcast, whatever.
yeah. I came across a podcast of Pastor Craig Groeschel, and I think the title was "Leaders Who Anticipate" or "Being a Leader Who Anticipates." I don't know if you've heard it, but an incredible. I think he recorded it back in June. And it was just, he told some incredible personal stories from Life Church, their ministry, and just different things of how they've anticipated. And it's just a really challenging podcast to be that leader, to anticipate and to be ready, not to react, but to anticipate, And so if you're reacting, you're behind the time. And so just being able to anticipate. Another book that Pastor Chris is reading, he recommended to us, I'm in the middle of, is called The Motive by Patrick Lencioni. And it just deals with reward-centered leaders and responsibility-based leaders. And it's an incredible book. He feels like it's his best book yet for leaders. And it's a quick read. So it's called The Motive by Patrick Lencioni. So it's a great one.
All right. You got our library full. You got our Giving Hope pockets full. You got
Come
our
on,
heart full. Just
come on,
full, full, full. I
come on.
love it. All right. Well, thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you for
Yes.
all you are and everything that you're doing. And we just like bless your family, bless all that's on your plate. I hope that you're just able to, like you said, be present and enjoy every moment of it. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Serve Brew. Bye.